Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Empire Life podcast, where we interview founders from all around the world on their experiences of how they define their own success, and them giving you a lot of tips and open conversation with helping you to succeed more in your life. And today we're with founder Miriam Popp. She's the founder of Vibrant Lifestyle Coaching, a youth mentor, public speaker who creates a safe space for women to grow and explore their truths. And I'll hand it over to her a little bit more to intro herself.
Well, thank you for having me here, Allison. I love connecting with you, love your vibe, love what you've created. So just really grateful to be here and chat with your audience. So I'm Miriam Popp, founder of Vibrant Lifestyle Coaching. I believe that a lot of our stress that we have in our world comes from being out of alignment with our true selves. So a lot of the work that I do with my clients is centered around teaching them how to manage their stress with my mind, body, soul approach to stress management. Because stress is not only from the outside world. A lot of our stress comes from what we think, how we approach our bodies, and if we are in tune and listening to our intuition, our soul, our gut, whatever you want to call it, whatever speaks to you, we'll put it that way. So that is a lot of my work, just teaching tools and habits and just creating safe spaces for women to open up, feel vulnerable, share, and in turn grow and expand and live their best vibrant life, if you would.
I love it. And I want to go ahead and dive right in, Miriam, and ask you, this is kind of a big one. I'd ask you, what are some of the challenges that you feel like you've overcame in your path of being a founder and with starting your company right now and working with women? And I'm sure that you have experienced as you grow with your clients, you grow yourself, I'm sure, and you're able to hold and have even a larger container for them. And what has helped you as those challenges, and what has helped you to be able to hold that container for other women like you do?
Okay. Great question. Great question. So, we're coming. So I am in the 5th year of my business. And it's funny because I was just talking to my business bestie about this yesterday, where the first couple of years of business building, there was so much letting go of who I thought I needed to be successful, right? There was so much letting go of imposter syndrome was a big thing, right? So many little ideas that I hadn't realized I'd picked up along the way. So those were a lot of the big challenges, and in the process of that letting go, allowed me to step into my business fuller, right? Allowed me to shine as the entrepreneur female founder that I wanted to be, right? And so as I, let go of these ideas of who I needed to be, it allowed me to have more space and space for my clients. Because then I would see, regardless of whether it was an entrepreneur client, I could see in my own clients how they were showing up out of their truth, out of alignment with themselves. I was able to see the signs, the warning signs, the red flags, if you would. Because I had been there. I had been doing those things, right? So that's how I was able to see it in others, and how the journey really supported me, right? So it's been interesting, because I mentioned talking to my business bestie about this yesterday, but I think in the beginning of business building, there's pressure to, we see a lot of overnight successes. Whether it was an overnight success, 6 figures in 6 months, who knows, right? But we see a lot of that, and we put pressure on ourselves to do that. And when we can't do that, we judge ourselves, right? And so that was a lot of stuff that I had to let go of. And so it's now looking back and seeing how the first 2 years I was always trying to prove something, right? But it came with the experience of showing up, not giving up, right? Not giving up on the dream and the vision and saying, okay, all right, what feels good to Miriam? What is Miriam's truth? How does Miriam want to show up and serve in doing that, right? Doing that. And as the experience has gotten built, yeah, I can step back now and be like, oh, okay, yeah. Your girl did that. And so that's a lot of what then I can take to my clients, that the perseverance, that story of perseverance, and saying, hey, look, it feels messy right now. Whether it's a personal journey, a fitness journey, an entrepreneurial journey, it feels messy now, but keep going. Your dreams deserve your tenacity. And that's really the sweet spot right there, when we just kind of keep going, keep staying in alignment, keep staying in our truth. Yeah. Ooh, you got me to word vomit.
Yeah,
Good.
I love it. No, I love it. I completely resonate with what you're saying. I had the same experience when starting Empire Life too. And am I working enough? Do I need to do all-nighters? And almost like an all-nighter is a badge of honor that you give yourself, when it's actually not a badge of honor. And
Yeah.
it's not in alignment with our true selves most of the time.
Yes.
It might be needed at the beginning a few times, but it's not necessarily something to be proud of or to give ourselves accolades about, because it can get us out of alignment. And one quote that I love, that I always remind myself of, is it's okay to take a break. Taking a break doesn't mean you're quitting. Take a break, don't quit, in a sense. So if I need to take a nap, or I need to take a night off, I do work a lot of nights too. If I need to take a night off, okay, like that's what I need. And a lot of times, taking a bath or taking a night off, that's when your best ideas come to you, and when you allow yourself that quiet time. And that's a hard lesson for me in my life.
Yes, and it's I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I'm a firm believer that self-care is how we manage the stress in our lives. And we're in a culture that puts busyness on a pedestal. Being busy, we you know, if we're not busy, if we're not hustling behind our businesses, are we going to be successful? And to what you've said, it's in those moments where we allow ourselves to slow down, nurture ourselves, care for ourselves, allow all of our hard work to work, right? Put all of our hard work to work, and take that step back to care for ourselves, that our businesses can flourish and grow. But if we're not good, if we're not in a good space with ourselves, if we haven't been caring for ourselves, whether it be the nap, or connecting with friends, or having a random dance party to shake off some energy, if we aren't doing those things, how do we expect to be able to show up? If we aren't showing up for ourselves, how can we show up for our business, our families, our loved ones, our communities, all of that?
Completely. And a lot of my best ideas have come to me when I'm taking that quiet time, breathing, dancing, taking a long bath, the self-care that you were talking about, and
allow ourselves to be open. If we're caring for ourselves, doing those things to slow down, we're open for those ideas to flood us. But if we're worried about getting to the next thing, I got to do this, I got to do that, there's no space for our ideas to pop up.
And I had that experience when I also feel I might be feeling less pressure, internal pressure from myself, related to, I feel every year I become better at letting go of that internal pressure, that the busyness, like you said. And I still feel sometimes external pressure though. I've heard comments from people saying, well, if you didn't meet your goal, then that's why, because you didn't work hard enough. I just need to work a little harder. And hearing that message externally, how would you suggest that somebody overcome, like they've maybe overcame or overcome the internal way that they're talking to each other, but they're still seeing it on TV, in the media, and there's this somewhat external pressure. What is your opinion about that?
So external pressure is always going to be there. And unfortunately, it's going to come from places that may hurt, whether it be family members, friends, our communities, or it be from, like you're saying, TV, or these big names in your. I think something to keep in mind is if we are right with ourselves, right? If we've got that connection with self, that's the only thing that matters. Everyone's always, so it's a matter of tuning some of that out and asking ourselves, does that comment feel good to me? Does that comment lift me up? Does that comment inspire me to work more towards my dreams in a way that supports me? Or does that comment make me want to push and go against what feels natural and overwork and overexert? If that comment puts you in that overexertion space, you really have to ask yourself, is that the kind of boss I want to be to myself? Or do I want to be the boss who says, okay, let me take a few steps back. Let me survey the land. Let me see what I've done. What could I have done differently? What can I do that supports my mission in a way that builds me up, right? That's going to be way more powerful for your business than the other side of things where we're in a panic. We're in the lack mindset. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough, right? No. External opinions will always be there, just like your own guiding light will always be there. And it's really a matter of constantly tuning in and trusting up when you look inside. What comes up when you really explore, okay, what is the boss? What kind of boss do I want to be? And how can I show up as that person?
Exactly. And reminding ourselves, I am the boss.
Yeah,
that's why
exactly.
I chose to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I didn't choose to become an entrepreneur. I didn't choose to become my own boss 7 days a week. Before building my business, I was a hairstylist, and I worked in the salon, and I had my own private clientele outside the salon. And there were times I was working 7 days a week. So with starting my own business, no, that was not a goal of mine. No. Miriam does not want to work like that, right? But in the beginning of my business, first couple of years, I was showing up as that kind of boss to myself. And I didn't feel good. And I had to check myself and say, wait a minute. No, I didn't sign. This is not what I signed up for. This is not how I want it to feel. And we have that choice to say, this is how I want to feel, and pursue that. It's very easy to forget that. It's very easy.
It is. That reminded me of a few of my first Empire Life events, the one that you spoke at. I will get so into hearing everybody's story and wanting to talk to everyone, and then everybody would go eat afterwards, and I would go eat with them. And I remember one time I went to 5 different events so I was awake from like 8 a.m. getting the event organized, and then there was 5 other events, and I didn't go to sleep till like 5 a.m. And I was exhausted for the next 4 days. I couldn't hardly move or do anything. And I thought, this is not the way that I want to do events. It doesn't have to be like this. I made that choice to not stop and take that excitement and direct it outwards and just keep going. And it's like the time passed so fast. So I made that commitment to myself that I will go home no matter what anybody is doing or where they're going, which I love. Almost always at least 2 or 3 people go to do something after, or bigger groups. The least 2 or 3 women or men go together to do something after the event, and I don't have to be there. I don't have to go everywhere with them. I need to go home. I need to lay on the floor or lay somewhere and meditate. And then I can check in with myself and see, do I want to go? Do I really want to go somewhere with those people? And I can meet them later. That's an option. Or I can choose to do really nourishing self-care to rebuild, to give back to myself, because I give so much to those events and so much to my clients. How can I give back to myself And that leads me into a whole nother topic about, a lot of times as women, we say, nobody's taking care of me. I'm taking care of everybody else. And really taking that responsibility. What kind of boss do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to have? If
Yes.
I'm focusing my attention outwards and saying, this person is not giving me what I need, am I giving myself what I need? Am I giving back to myself? Am I setting those boundaries to where I can, like I was saying, I can meditate, I can take a bath, I can watch my favorite show, read my favorite book. And those are the things I need to be doing after pouring so much of my energy and love and support into something like an event or into working with a client. I need to have that downtime or that me time too.
Yeah, it's that balance,
Mhm.
right? That
Mhm.
balance between the between showing up and empowering and supporting and creating, but also knowing that, oh, I need to support and empower for myself.
Mhm. And if I am going to be around somebody after that, they need to also hold that space for me, that I'm not going to be talking much.
Yeah.
I I'm going to be kind of very introspective, and
Yes.
also accept that or not be there with me.
Yes.
The
And
whole, yeah.
it's interesting because I do work primarily with women, and that is such a hard thing
Mhm.
for so many to do, as far as saying, setting that boundary. I need X, Y, and Z to feel my best. And if I feel my best, I can then show up for everyone else. But to set that boundary and be clear about what we need, but then also to be able to express it
Mhm.
in a way that others can hear it, right? I have found,
Yes, totally.
right? I have found that in my own business building, especially where, I'm holding space for women going through all sorts of things, right? And so I have had to, in my personal relationships, get really good about training the people in my life to understand that, look, I know I have been that friend that you can turn to and talk to and unload, and I've been that safe space for you. But now that this is a part of my business and it's not just holding space for myself and you, I need you to come to me and say, hey, look, I have stuff going on. Are you in a good space to hear it?
Mhm.
Right? Before they unload. And that was really tough. That was a tough thing to do, to set that kind of boundary and to train them to take that initial step. And in the beginning, before I got good about training them, I was acting out. I was resentful. I was upset that they just kept thinking that I was here to hold their
Mhm.
emotional weight for them. And then I
Mhm.
was like, well,
Mhm.
that's what I've trained them to be like. Now I've got to retrain them to say, hey, Miriam, are you in a good space right now? Do you have the bandwidth for me right now? I could use some support. Right. And so once we got there and I opened up and I shared, hey, look, these are the new rules. These are the new
Yes.
rules that all allow us to show up as our best.
Mhm.
And knowing that, sometimes I'll tell them, yes, I can listen to you, but you need to know it's been a rough morning of a lot of just
Mhm.
helping women through their pain. So if you don't get the kind of energy you want from me, it's not you. I'm
Mhm.
still
Mhm.
processing. And it's amazing how that's allowed my relationships to flourish. Honestly, it hasn't taken away, it's only added. So I think people, women specifically, need to hear that and know that setting these boundaries, taking care of ourselves, honoring ourselves, letting people know what it is we need enhances our relationships. And anybody who falls away, it just kind of shows you what the level of that friendship was or relationship was, right?
It's naturally removed.
Yes.
Usually when we continue to set those boundaries for ourselves and be honest about what we need, we
Hmm.
start to, like you said, we start to understand too, it's okay that if you're not in a place to give me what I need, that's okay too.
Yeah.
This is what I need,
Yeah.
and it's not going to change. This is what I need to be
Yeah.
happy. I deserve to be happy. Really owning that I deserve to be happy. I deserve someone who's going to continue to show up for as their highest self too. Like, none of us are perfect. We can
Yeah.
we can continue to evolve, continue to be open to feedback, transparent, And yes, I deserve that. I deserve peace. I deserve happiness.
Yeah. And when you prioritize that and show up in that space, you may not realize how much you're inspiring the people around you to also take that stand for themselves and say, okay, you know what? I see how she's out here shining. I want some of that in my life. What has she been doing? And then they start, either they ask or they just start imitating in a way that suits them and finding their way. But you protecting yourself and nurturing yourself and caring for yourself empowers the next woman to do the same, right?
It's so true. It's so true. I like to think about that too. If when we speak up for our needs and what we desire, we're making the space for the next woman and the next woman. So it's not only us that we're making that space for, that it's okay to take up space. It doesn't mean, that leads me into another thing as you were talking that was coming up, that feels like a predominant thing that I hear other women telling me. I'm afraid, especially with romantic relationships, I'm afraid that if I take up this space, he's going to say, I'm demanding, I'm controlling, I'm needy, or all the other plethora of things that women might get labeled as when they're like, no, this is what I need. Whether that's a friendship, a romantic, family relationship. And like you said, we're continuously teaching those people how to treat us or how we want to be respected, how in turn of how we value ourselves.
Our value, yes.
Our value. I'm like, no, I value myself so much that I'm going to continue to say this to you. I'm going to continue to feel this way.
It's interesting because when we are in our best place for ourselves, in our highest vibe, whatever you want to call it, when we are just out here shining, everyone else benefits, right? Everyone else benefits from us being in our best place possible. So we have to keep in mind that we want people around us who recognize that and encourage it. So if we're in relationships where people aren't encouraging and allowing space for us to shine as our best selves, I wonder what are they getting from me not being my best self? And is that really, once again, is that adding or is that taking, right? Is that adding to my life? Is that making my life even better? Or is that keeping me in a place that just doesn't sit right with who I am? Is that keeping me out of alignment? I think it's very easy for women in relationships, whatever it may be, to adjust who we are to keep the other person happy. But then the flip side of that is all that adjusting is pulling us further and further away from that alignment and that stress-free living, right? So
and it dims the shine, it dims the light, and like at some point, I was on a call the other day, and the lady was telling me a story about how she left a very unhappy marriage a few years ago before she started her business, and everything she learned prompted her to coach women and be there for women in the way that she's showing up now. And she said at some point, you feel with all that adjusting, you feel, if I continue to do this, I'm actually betraying myself. I am in betrayal of who I really am.
Yes.
And does that sit right for me? Is that okay for me? And if I'm betraying myself, am I able to show up, like you were saying, for my clients in a way that I am being accountable, that I am setting my own boundaries, that I am putting myself first, that I have the self-love? If I'm not, we all have our growth areas and we're all getting there, right? But at the same time, if I'm betraying myself, how can I then lead other women or my clients in this path? So like, it's time to take action. This is not okay. That's what she was saying. She got to that point, and I've definitely been there too. Yeah.
That it's I love that she mentioned betrayal, because it's that betrayal of self that leads to so much chaos and sometimes we don't want to acknowledge this, but we can create a lot of that chaos in our world by betraying ourselves, by betraying and adjusting and stepping away from our needs to appease others, right?
And it creates like the next question that I wanted to get into. I feel like it creates a lot of resistance inside of ourselves and what other people feel, and it's not necessarily fair, I feel, too, to create this kind of resistance instead of telling them. This is like we were saying before, this is what I desire, this is what I need, and it's okay if that doesn't match with how you want to show up. I'm cool with that. It's okay. Or it's okay for you to tell me, I'm going to get there. I want to get there. I want to figure that out with you. And I will be there I will hold space for both people to say, this is where I want to go, and let's hold space for each other to get there or to evolve in that way together. That's okay too. It's okay to meet someone's needs or not meet their needs, allowing that space instead of creating, like you said, all this chaos and all this resistance and making conditions to somebody in any kind of relationship, and even a family, not really accepting our family for who they are and making conditions, and only if they would do XYZ, then I would love them, then I would let go of this resentment. And no, it's our resentment, it's our forgiveness. It's like I'm never going to get to that point where I will love someone if I'm putting conditions on them, because they're never going. I think that was a huge lesson for me too, in the resistance that I felt like probably in my early 20s of, if only my family did XYZ, or only if they raised me like that. And that's not their problem. They did the best they could. That's my responsibility at some point to be like, I forgive, and they did the best they could.
Yes, look.
I'm doing the best I can now. And that has, oh my gosh, that has accelerated the love and the feeling that they feel when they're around me and how I'm showing up.
I love that. I love all of that.
And and then being able to show up for other people, to hold that space for them, because people feel that pain and that the resentment, their resistance, the chaos that somebody's creating.
Yes. There's I recently talked about this in my Facebook group, but there's a certain amount of allowance and acceptance that we have to allow in our relationships, right? And so it's not allowing somebody to be awful towards us, right? That's not what I mean by allowance, but allowing people to be who they are and not who you think they should be, which in turn makes you happy, right? So allowing people the grace and the acceptance to be that, whatever that is, but also
imperfect and
exactly
all their things and all their experiences, and
right, because we have to accept to a certain level that I'm not perfect. Maybe I'm doing my best, maybe I'm not doing my best, but to try to control someone else's narrative is a distraction. You've got your own narrative you got to be worried about and taking care of, and it's very important to allow people the space to be who they are. And guess what? If someone being who they are doesn't sit well with who you're trying to be, it's not a match. We're not matching up. Then we need to accept that and A, move on, or B, distance ourselves, or C, just find a way to coexist if that's the only option, right? But there's a lot of love that can come from just accepting people for who they show you they are, not who you want to control them to be, right?
I fully resonate with that. I think it comes back to the core of, are we accepting ourselves?
Yeah.
And if we're unable to accept parts of other people, in my opinion, from my experience, I feel like it always comes back to us diving deeper and asking the question, what parts of myself am I unable to accept? are there parts of myself that I'm stuffing down and having resistance to, and like, oh yeah, that's not me, and oh, I would never do that, and that person's like this. When we start to feel that judgment coming up, are there areas of ourselves we're judging? I feel it always, usually, it often comes back to if someone is projecting that kind of judgment, criticism, resistance onto you, we need to ask ourselves, coming from the place of compassion, of asking ourselves,
Yes.
what areas of themselves do they not like? How are they judging themselves? Are they being too hard on themselves? Why are
Yes.
they being too hard on themselves? And that, not that we're trying to solve that for them, that's theirs to solve.
Yep.
At the same time, though, we can show up in a compassionate way to some extent, that this is not necessarily about me.
Yeah. I think
And
we to what you're saying, because I love this. I love this conversation that we're having. But a lot of times what we see in others and we don't necessarily like is alive within us. So if we can see that and take that moment and say, do I do this? Is this something within me? What is this triggering within me? And it's that level of having that level of self-awareness with self, because yeah, it's so easy to be aware of other people's faults. But are you aware of where that lies within you? And are you ready to do the work?
yeah,
Are you ready to do the work?
asking those questions, are you willing to do the work to answer those questions? Why am I triggered?
Yeah.
What's really going on here?
Yeah.
Why am I feeling this resistance coming up? Why is this person, or even why did I attract a person who's being too hard on themselves? That's been an ongoing theme for me personally, is I tend to have a lot of inner drive, and really it's hard for me to let go and breathe, and kind of, so a lot of personal affirmations of, I'm letting go of fear, I'm letting go of uncertainty, I'm accepting, I'm loving myself despite all my flaws. So coming back to understanding those areas of ourself as we accept them more, I do feel then our outer world starts changing, and we start attracting more support and more love and this abundance, because our inner world, focusing first on our inner world and doing that work, is what then we start to see it unfold in the outer world. I see it even reflected in my daughter. She doesn't hold that space for me to be too hard on myself. She holds the space for everything is always working out for us. Everything is always working in our favor. We have
She's
the power.
Beautiful. You're doing a good job, Mom.
She reminds me, or maybe you need a night, maybe you need a few hours, Mom, or Mom, go take a bath, or Mom, she reflects.
And you know what's interesting about that is she sees you doing your work. She sees you being better after doing those things that fill you up. And so for her, she's made those connections. She knows it. And so what we were saying earlier, if we take care of ourselves, people see that and they understand that that's the level that she needs to be taking care of herself at to be her best. And so here your daughter is showing up and holding you accountable for that. She is.
Yeah, like when I don't want to go,
you need a bath.
Yeah, like, you need to go run. And if I'm like, I'm gonna go running, oh no, I think I'm just not. She's like, Mom, put on your shoes, just go. Okay, you'll feel better. You always feel better after this. So I do feel, there's a level of accountability too when we're in relationships, to be like, I know that you're tired, come on, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna fill your cup, and really supporting each other in that. Or me asking her when she gets home, do you need a minute, or are you okay to have a conversation with me, if I see that she's looking kind of overwhelmed. It's like, and she then has the space to be like, no, I need a minute, I need XYZ, because that's what it's about. And holding that.
I love this dynamic, because it's the kind of thing where she sees that is what's needed in a healthy relationship, right? And so for even people listening right now, like, that is a healthy dynamic. That's a mutual give and take that we all deserve and is possible in all of our relationships, as long as we are all showing up as our best selves and doing that work to prioritize our happiness and our peace, because you're doing it, your daughter's doing it, and so you guys are both in a space together happy. Now, when you guys aren't doing the work, I can only imagine.
I don't know, since that hasn't happened, but yeah. That, like you said too, me holding her accountable too, of okay, maybe you feel tired because you've gotten off your kind of your routine or your schedule, and like waking her up a little earlier. I know you don't want to get up, but you're going to feel better because we kind of get off that routine. So that's been with, recording this in quarantine, that's definitely been something probably that a lot of parents are feeling, is that it's a little more challenging to stay on a schedule, though it's positive to be on some kind of schedule.
It's I love this because I'm a firm believer that love is a verb. And I think part of that love in action that you've been sharing, maybe not calling it love, but is that accountability, right? The accountability you guys are showing each other in a loving way, because you know that, ooh, okay, like mom can show up as her best and love me fully because she's loved on herself fully, right? And vice versa. And I think that's so important to relationships, regardless of if it's parent to child or if it's romantic relationship, platonic relationship,
Giving
but
each
allowing
other
love
space
to be a verb that shows up and encourages us to be our best selves.
Completely.
Love it.
Given the space too, of instead of coming into someone else's space or kind of overwhelming the other person. I think that was something I learned growing up that I guess I didn't want. I sometimes felt that I didn't have that personal space respected, or you have to go here. I didn't have a lot of down coming into why I feel like I got to be so busy and go, and I didn't have that downtime allowed growing up. And where for me, then learning too much downtime is not good either for kids. There needs to be a balance between things that they have going on, because they learn how to get along with other people, and they get to see those triggers come up in them, so they can heal those. Those things can't come up necessarily with a adult. They come up with other kids, of learning how to manage your emotions, or sports and other extracurricular activities. So that for me was a balance, was I had the pressure from my parents telling us she needs to be involved in more things. And I'm like, I don't want her involved in things all the time, and she never has any downtime. So that was a big one.
It's interesting because that downtime is allowing her to be involved with herself.
And it's not valued in our culture a lot of times.
So true. So true. There's power in that self-involvement. There's power in that being with self, that downtime, where, it's not, I mentioned this earlier, but this busy pedestal, busy culture, where I know a few entrepreneur friends and clients who are so fearful of momentum. If they're always doing then their momentum is always growing in their business, and if they slow down, they lose momentum. And it's just not the case. It's just not how that works. If we put energy behind something in our business, that energy will continue on. We have to let our work for us while we take care of ourselves, right? And that's how we can come back with even more renewed energy and momentum in our businesses and our lives, right?
That was also a big lesson for me with first starting Empire Life, is I was somewhat setting that boundary with clients. Whether I knew consciously or not, I put it into my contracts, the working hours, and it's still hard. It's still something that I need to remind myself of not to answer messages or emails after a certain time, unless maybe it was an emergency and I need to answer something. But that's very rare. And as I started stepping into that, all my clients that I started attracting were really happy with this and even more respectful than what I could possibly be with myself. Like, it's okay, you don't need to answer me. Like, them saying it even before I say it. Like, I know it's Friday, for example, or one of my clients last Friday, like, I know it's Friday, you probably won't get to this till Monday. I just wanted to let you know. So them even setting that kind of intention, because I've set that intention from the beginning.
Yep. Yeah, you taught her how to work with you and not
Uh-huh.
against you. Yeah.
Yeah, or that we're not also, like, we're not working for each other. We're working with,
Mm,
like you said, not against, not
yeah.
for, not under, or we're
Yeah.
working together. We're co-creating. I love that word. We're co-creating
Yeah.
this together, and then we're collaborating because we're co-creating, and we want what's best for both sides.
Yes. I love that. I love that. A lot of my view with coaching is that coaching should be a partnership, right? And a partnership hinges on clear communication. So if I can show up and communicate effectively, that's allowing my client space to show up and speak effectively and communicate clearly. And then we have this safe space where healing can happen, transformation can happen. But the key part of that is just is showing up in this partnership, this co-creation, like you said. That is one of my
Mhm.
favorite words as well. I'm like, yes, let's
Yes,
co-create. Let's do
I
this
love that
together.
word. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And Miriam, what do you feel? So in your path with starting a vibrant lifestyle, did I say that right?
Mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm.
with your path with starting vibrant lifestyle coaching,
Mm-hmm.
what's one or two stories that come to your mind in your childhood that you would like to share with us that really resonate for you, that led you into the work that you're doing now?
Okay. All right. So something that has always been big for me is being what I have needed in various times of my life, right? So when it comes to my client work, a lot of stuff I do is about support and accountability. Because I have seen in my own life when I've had support and accountability, I have made leaps and bounds. I'm someone who I'm always going to reach my target. That's just who I am as a person, my drive. I'm always going to reach my target. But when I've had support and accountability, I've gotten there faster. Um, so when it's come to building vibrant lifestyle coaching, there's two big drivers that come from childhood experiences. For one, I have always had this idea that I would build my business supporting adult women, helping them learn the tools that they didn't learn in their youth, right? Because for me personally, I feel like there were a lot of tools and coping mechanisms I didn't learn in my childhood and teens. My parents divorced when I was around 10 years old, and there was just a lot of drama and trauma and just a lot of just trying to figure things out. There wasn't, in my opinion, there wasn't enough communication to help me feel safe in those spaces, right? The space of my family life, all of that. So when it came to building vibrant lifestyle coaching, I know I'm not alone in that. I know that I'm not alone in having gotten to that point in my 20s where I realized I need better tools, right? So that's what really empowers me to support my clients is, okay, there's women out who need these tools. Let me throw down. Got it. Flip side of building my business the way I have is I also mentioned this earlier, women, let me also help these young girls who may be in situations or environments that they aren't learning those tools. So I figure if I empower the kids, empower the young girls, empower the adults, we can lessen that gap between the two. And now we've just got women out here showing up, thriving, positive coping mechanisms, doing the damn thing, right? So
Yes.
that has been a lot of it for me. That's really what pushes me forward, and this idea of being what I have needed in the past. Needing these better tools. Okay, let me make sure I have all the tools and can throw down and meet my clients where they're at, and support them in those spaces. So that's really been a big thing for me. I hope wasn't too much of a ramble.
No,
I could
not
sense
too
a
much.
ramble sometimes, but yeah. So just, in my mid-20s, when I reached that point of realizing the coping mechanisms I picked up in my teens aren't serving me. They aren't getting me to my targets. They aren't moving me forward. That's really when I've always been a big reader. That's always been one of my ways to escape, right? So I went through all the books, all the self-help books. And then around like 26, 27, I said, this isn't cutting it. So that's when I actually hired my first coach. And I've had a life coach. I've had a fitness coach because I used to do fitness competitions. I've had a spiritual mentor. I've had a business coach, but it's those experiences being supported by empowered women on my journey that have, that's another thing that's really helped me show up and in turn show up for my dreams and show up in my truth, and build vibrant lifestyle coaching.
I love it. I love it. Wow. That makes a lot of sense that a lot of us come to that point when we're thinking, yeah, this is not working. What I'm doing is not working. I need to start questioning what are some of the books that come to mind that really you felt impacted you. And I do agree about getting a coach if you guys are listening. Getting a coach for what you need, for someone to hold you accountable, and then in your free time finding some of those books that can make a huge difference.
Yeah. So I'm glad you just said that, because I think that is very important. And my clients, when they first start working with me, they know this. I'm not here to do the work for you. That's not my job. That's not my job to do the work for you. So my clients know that when you hop on board this vibrant lifestyle coaching train, you need to be ready to do your work. It's not my responsibility. I will throw down the tools, the support, the accountability, but you've got to show up and do that work. That is the biggest thing there. If you're not doing the work, there's no results. I can't just out of nowhere. That's not how this co-creation is going to work.
Exactly. In any relationship, in a business relationship or any relationship, when we were talking about that off air, even it can be uncomfortable, and we got to sit with that. We got to let it pass. We have to somewhat feel some of that pain and some of that anger and some of that resentment in order to let it go. We got to feel it. And that's people spend their whole lives avoiding feeling all that.
So books, right? What are some of those books that I turn to? I had gotten to the point where I realized the stress of my world, I could no longer manage it. I could no longer, the impact it was having on my life, my lifestyle it was impacting my health to the point where in my 20s, in a 10-year time span, I had the times, which typically happens to older people because the stress on their immune system, their bodies aren't able to hold in the shingles virus, which is adult chickenpox. So I had to find my way to adjust my mindset, right? It was, for me, I worked on my mindset, then I worked on my physical health, and then from physical health, I started working on that spiritual connection, right? That's been my journey, my path. So all of that to say, one of the books I'm always recommending to anybody beginning this journey is Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I love that book. I absolutely love that book.
Me
It's
too.
small, easily digestible. I've actually seen him and his son give a talk, and Don Miguel Ruiz talks like this. He's very calm. And it pulls you in. Like, I remember just being on my chair, like, tell me more. Give me more of that. His whole energy and being was just amazing. So The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Here for that.
He's like the turtle.
I am scared that I'm going to.
Oh, sorry. Do you know Kung Fu Panda? Have you seen that movie?
Go ahead.
It broke up a little bit. Are you able to hear me okay? Are you okay? Okay, I think we're back now.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I know the turtle you're talking about. I started laughing.
Yeah, I always go back to that. Am I being the turtle, like on Kung Fu Panda? Am I being the turtle? Because that's kind of the opposite of how I've lived my life a lot of ways. But that's where we find he's just like, I want to listen to you, but this is my quiet time right now. Can you?
Yes. Healthy boundaries.
Yeah, yeah. I always come back to that. Am I
Yeah.
living in the four agreements? Am I being the turtle, or just am I being the turtle?
And the thing that really blew my mind, yes, the four agreements blew my mind, but this idea that I could create new agreements, that the agreements I had been living my life by may not have been my own, may not speak to my truth, and guess what? Hop on a new train, create new agreements that really fulfill me and speak to where I'm trying to go. And that was, that was the beginning. That was the beginning. Two other books that, one author that I want to recommend, and I'm probably not going to get the book titles right, but Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Yeah, I love that one.
And oh my God, yeah. I read that at like 22, 23. I read it like twice in 1 year because I was like, I know I'm not picking up all of this. I had to come back to that book a couple of times and have been thinking about coming back to it again. And
I'm glad.
I cannot remember the second book. Yeah. I know the second book of his that I can see in my mind's eye. I can see the colors. It's like blues and seafoam greens, but I cannot remember the title.
I think I had that one
more book. Yeah. I think it was another Oprah book, to be honest with you. But the other book that was really transformative for me on my journey was The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. That was getting intentional. That was huge for me, and just really being like, okay, like, same thing with the agreements, but how do I want to show up? Knowing that my intentions create my world and that power that holds. I was like, okay, I think I lost like three major relationships in my life away after reading that book, because that disconnect really got highlighted as I got more intentional with it.
But it relates to me in not necessarily what someone is saying to you. It's more powerful of what their intention is behind what they're saying. And that allows us to show up in a more compassionate way with other people. And we want that same level of acceptance and people being able to hold that for us, and for us to be able to say, hey, I may not have said that the way that I meant it. This was my intention. I could have been better at saying it in the way that I really intended, and then wanting that same kind of unconditional love and someone else to say, yes, this is my intention. And you can feel that intention, even if they're not saying the words that, none of us are perfect at communicating. And if the words are not coming out the way that they want them to come out, we're like, oh, well, this must be what they really mean. This is their true intention. And we can feel that as we get more in touch with our true intentions, we can feel other people's true intentions. And that's what really matters, as opposed to what those words are, or taking something personally, like in the agreements, not taking it personally, and holding that space for those true intentions. And then that also why we choose certain actions, because of our intentions.
Yes. It's interesting because I know, at least for me in that time period, when I'm thinking back, this is probably between like 2006 and 2008, when I first read that book and started trying to apply being more intentional. I had a lot of internal pressure that I was placing on relationships. So I say internal pressure because they didn't know. This is all me being upset over here, like, well, why isn't that happening? Why isn't this happening? And realizing, I got to this moment where I had to realize that because I'm applying this pressure internally doesn't mean those changes are going to happen, right? And doesn't mean these people are now going to show up the way that I want them to. So then I had to create this shift of, okay, so if I want X, Y, and Z, how do I intend to show up? How can I get more intentional about having X, Y, and Z in my world? And so when I started doing that, that's truly when those other relationships fell away, because we weren't in alignment. Not in alignment. But it also, in other relationships, allowed more peace, allowed more space for them to show up, right? So it's one of these things where, we've both mentioned letting go during this time, but I think there's a lot of hesitation about letting go and changing and shifting and coming into alignment, because we think of letting go as a loss. We're losing something by letting go. But by letting go, we create more space for what actually serves us, for what we want, for what enhances our life. So I think that's very important to keep in mind, that letting go allows us to gain. Letting go allows us to exponentially expand, as opposed to holding on to these things that diminish our light.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, let's go jazz hands.
I completely agree. And when we are letting go and we're taking another thing that came up for me, when we're taking full accountability for how, like you were saying, if I say inside myself, okay, I want peace in my relationships, or I want joy, I want happiness, all these things that I desire, first we need to ask ourselves, am I giving this to that person?
Yeah.
Am I showing up in this way? And when we're doing all our work and we're taking full accountability and we are showing up in that way, I do feel too, we allow that space to let the other person show up in that way or not. And we can say, oh, I'm showing up as my highest self.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, it's
come on, wheels turning.
Let's do it.
It's interesting because this is one of my favorite things to bully and nag my clients over, because they'll say things like, I just want more joy in my life, more joy in my relationships. And so what I fire back with is, so what does that look like? What is to say that statement, but what does that look like? What are the actions that align with that? And have you been doing them? Are you ready to start doing them? And how much do you think your life will expand when you do that? Because that's the intentionality part. Like, yeah, fine. I will be more joyful in my life. Okay. What are those action steps? What are those things? Right. So that's where
it's super unfair to be like, well, every time I'm around you, you're not happy and you're not giving me joy, instead of taking a second to be like, wait, am I happy?
Yeah, taking ownership.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when I go to that person's house, am I super stressed? How am I showing up for that person? Because we can't expect, or we can't put conditions, and we do tend to do that. Sometimes I'm guilty of it too, sometimes. And then I need to go inward and being like, well, am I giving that to myself? Am I showing up in that way? How can I ask someone else to show up to give me happiness or be their best selves if I'm not showing up as my best selves, or I'm not allowing them to be happy with XYZ or what I'm doing on my side? And I do feel like that's a huge gap. That's definitely a missing piece that a lot of us don't stop and think, okay, what conditions am I putting on this other person? Or like you said, am I putting conditions on myself and then putting conditions on them, instead of thinking, how can I feel joy? Like you said, I love that with your clients.
It's powerful, and it created such a major shift in my life that I think it's very easy for us to, I call it zombie mode, but just go through the motions. Just go through the motions, right? Where when we take that extra step of being like, okay, so I want more joy in my life. What does that look like? And what am I willing to do? So I'll give an example. At the beginning of May, I got clear about what I wanted May to feel like. What do I want May to feel like, especially after April, where, you know, in April is really when these shelter in place orders, COVID-19 was really, things just felt so unsettled. So what do I want May to feel like? And I wish I had my journal over here because I would share. But I must have written down like 15 things. I remember one of them being like, I will have dance parties whenever the mood strikes, right? Because I know that's going to get my energy up. I want May to just feel alive, where April just felt like, like I don't even know.
There's
There's no word. There's
so
just
much
sound for
fear.
April.
There's so much fear,
And
it's just,
I wanted May to feel alive. I wanted May to be a month that just felt full and vibrant. And so I will have dance parties when the mood strikes me. I won't run from the things that scare me. I will show up boldly. I will put on my makeup, do my hair, put on my jewelry because it makes me feel good. And it's funny because what are we now? Towards almost at the end of May. And I was looking through that journal entry the other day, and I was like, you know what? This has been a good month. I have done these things, but I got intentional. I got clear about those action steps. I put in the work, but it was easy stuff, right? So I think that's another thing to keep in mind. Like, there shouldn't be shame behind this or pressure to show up as these things. These were all easy things. Yeah, I always have music on. So why wouldn't a random dance party be hard? Why wouldn't that happen, right? Especially if I have my favorite playlists on. Like, yeah, it's nothing. Just hop up and have a quick dance and get my vibe up, let go of some stress, and feel good May. There's my May that just attracts the things that I want in my life. Because when we feel good, yes, we look good, but when we feel good, my tangent.
I completely agree, and I do but as we wrap up, I do think that shame comes up a lot, especially for women if they're moms, or they're in a any kind of relationships. They may not take that time to wrap up. Like, they may not take that time to get to know what they truly want or what their true intentions are, because like you took that time at the beginning of May to be like, this is my intentions. So anything that's outside of those intentions, you're like, nah, I don't need that. So as opportunities come up, like if you had said, I'm going to take a hot bath every Friday, and one of your girlfriends calls you and says, hey, let's go have a few drinks, and it's Friday night, you're like, no, I haven't taken a bath yet, because that's your intention. So it makes it easier for us to let go of what's not serving us and say yes to what's in alignment with those intentions. And then also not be upset with other people of, oh my God, you always want my attention if your girlfriend calls you, and you're just so needy because you're calling me and I'm supposed to be taking a bath and I'm going to go anyways because you seem to really need me. And then you're not in a good mood and you take it out. We tend to do this, men too, take it out on that other person, and you said you needed me and I'm here for you, and then you're not even seeming like you're having a good time, and they're like, I'm not having a good time because you're not having a good time. Why don't you just say no? Why don't you just stay home if that's really what you wanted? This makes all of our experiences so much more heightened and fun when we are doing those things intentionally.
Yes, it's I want to leave them with your audience with this quote, but one of the things my clients all quickly learn, that working with me means you're going to own this phrase, but if it's not a hell yeah, it's a firm no. And being okay with that firm no, because who wants, as the friend who's asked us to come out, we didn't want to come out, but we still come out. Now they're dealing with our stank energy because maybe we're feeling a little petty or resentful. We're not showing up as our highest self. That's not who our friend wanted to come out. They didn't want petty Miriam to come out.
Exactly.
Well, maybe they did, but they wanted fun Miriam to come out, and the Miriam who wants to be there. So if it's not a hell yeah, it's a firm no, and that's okay. wait for the hell yes. Show up for those moments where you can shine. And if it's a lot of no's, then okay, I need to care, I need to care, and I need to care for myself. And then I can show up and have more hell yeahs in my life.
I love that. And how can they get in touch with you also, Miriam? Or like we can leave them with that concept, and how can the listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find me around social media, but I will give you my email address. That's a little bit more direct, and I'm likely to see that. But my email address is Miriam, MIRIA, vibrantlc.com. You can find me on Instagram, and my handle is its Miriam Popp, P-O-P-P. I'm sure this will all be in the show notes, but
for sure.
I'm around the socials. You can find me there. Get more Miriam-isms in your life.
I love it. Thank you, Miriam, for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.